Welcome everyone to my channel. We are going to be talking about this lovely book here called Pleasure Unbound by Larissa Iona. I'm thinking of the name. This is a series, very long series, that I didn't realize I was getting myself into. 19 book series so far, as I know. We'll see how much more, okay? In a place where ecstasy can cost you your life, Tyla Mancuso is a demon slayer who hungers for sensual pleasure but fears it will always be denied her, until she lands in a hospital run by demons in disguise, and the head doctor, Iodolan, makes her body burn with unslakable desire. But to prove her ultimate loyalty to her peers, she must betray the surgeon who saved her life. Two lovers will dare to risk all. Iodolan cannot resist this fiery, dangerous woman who fills him with both rage and passion. Not only is she his avowed enemy, but she could very well be the hunter who has been preying upon his people. Torn between his need for the truth and his quest to find his perfect mate before a horrific transformation claims him forever, Iodolan will dare the unthinkable and let Taylor possess him, body and soul. Alright, so there's a lot of weird stuff in here. They actually have something which I'm forever eternally grateful for. A little thing in the front that tells you a few things. Obviously, glossary. So, you can understand just a little bit more about the book. I wish there was like a pronunciation thing for this, but I will do my best. So the Aegis, Society of Human Warriors dedicated to protecting the world from evil. See Guardians Regent Sigil. Council. All demon species and breeds are governed by a council that makes laws and metes out punishment for individual members of their species or breed. Dresden Bean, the demon equivalent of angels. Guardians. Warriors for the Aegis. Trained in combat techniques, weapons, magic. Upon induction into the Aegis, all guardians are presented with an enchanted piece of jewelry bearing the Aegis seal, which, among other things, allows for night vision and the ability to see through demon invisibility enchantment. Harrogate. Vertical portals invisible to humans, which demons use to travel between locations on Earth and Sheol. Infardra. A female of any demon species who has been impregnated by a seminous demon. Melconcieo, highest level of ruling demon boards, served by a representative from each species council at the UN of the demon world. Orgius, a demon sex slave, often taken from breeds bred specifically for the purpose of providing sex. Regent, head of a local Aegis cell. S-Genesis, final maturation cycle for simious demons occurs at 100 years of age. A posis, S-Genesis male, is capable of procreation and possesses the ability to shapeshift into the male of any demon species. Sheol, demon realm, located deep in the bowels of the earth, accessible only by Harrogates. Sigil, board of 12 humans known as elders, who serve as the supreme leaders of the Aegis. Based in Berlin, they oversee all Aegis cells worldwide. Tertakio, demons who can pass as human, either because their species is naturally human in appearance or because they can shapeshift into human form. Classifications of demons as listed by Bardock, Umber demon, using the demon breed Simius as an example. Kingdom, Animalia, class demon. Family, sexual demon. Genesis, terrestrial. Species, incubus. Breed, Simius. So, a moron who doesn't have this thing. I'm always forgetting that thing, and that's always a nightmare to edit things because I forgot to put the microphone on my bloody face like I'm supposed to. You know, it just makes everything nightmarish in every conceivable possible way. So we start off with chapter 1 with a quote. The demon is a prince of the air and can transform itself into several shapes, delude our senses for a time. By his power is determined. He may terrify us but not hurt. So, Iodolan is a doctor for a hospital that he runs, he made, to treat all breeds of demons, regardless of what they were. He has a younger brother named Shade and a younger brother named Wraith. Shade has the ability to heal. Wraith is a vampire simian, so he feeds and has sex with anything. And on top of that, he also can incite dreams of sexual nature. Eodolon can do some healing, but Shade is like really able to do a lot more healing, and he can go down to the genetic level of a person. So they're putting a demon back together. I don't remember what breed this demon is, but it doesn't say. I don't think it says which demon this is. But he obviously eats babies, and he was trying to eat an Umber demon's baby, and since Umber demons, females, were very, 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 very protective. This dude named Dirk almost died. They don't give him anything to help prepare to heal him. I mean, yeah. They don't give him anesthetic. They don't give him pain to stop it. They have a human named Paige who actually works for it. They get him back. Well, like a splurt or blood, but realizes that he's got like a scar on his chest area. This fresh scar is definitely something that was the bubbles, and it's made from a surgeon. So apparently they call them ghouls, which are the term they use for those who carved up demons to sell their parts on the underworld black market. And Dirk, I guess, didn't want them to know about it, so he killed himself, because apparently they can do that, which is really odd in its own way. And the Pan-Thai sac was removed from his body, which it processes digestive waste and returns it to the body, so species never has to urinate or defecate, which is really weird. And honestly, why don't we have that so we never have to go to the bathroom ever again? Sounds like it'd be interesting, but apparently it regenerates too. I think it's the Aegis doing it. So as he's walking away, Nancy, a vampire who'd been a nurse before she was turned 30 years ago, comes up saying Skulk is bringing in a Creantus. Creanti live to kill, to slaughter. And he's like, prepare ER2 with the gold restraints and page Dr. Yuri. He likes them. Right? So, Luke is on the EMTs as well as Skulk. They bring out the Serentus. Luke brings out the Serentus, who's like got injuries that are like made from gold and magically enchanted items, and then they bring out a Aegis Slayer woman. That's who they bring out. And it's like, really? So her partner was just killed, and the Serentus and her were fighting. So yeah, they call him a Buffy they call him a Buffy. Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is pretty freaking cool that you get that little reference in there. Because Buffy's a demon slayer. The Vampire Slayer, you know, and they call these Aegis people Buffies. They talk about how one of their brothers, Rogue, was actually killed by him, and Eodolon decides that he's going to heal her because he wants to use her to figure out more information about the Aegis, because the Aegis have always killed the brethren, and they just, I guess, want to get back at him or something. I'm not really sure, but really doesn't explain that part too much. And then they're like, well, there's this black goop going on inside. It looks like a morphing blood clot, and they realize that she's part demon. That one of her parents was a demon, and apparently that she might not even know about it. But it causes disruptions and stuff. They think it's like, she's like losing things. Shade's like, well, we can fuse it together, we could, heal her to make her better. And it's like, dude, you could make her damn near immortal if you did that, and then we'd have a freaking Aegis on us that we would have a hard time killing. So, like, well, don't do that. We'll just, we'll use her. And apparently 98 years isn't enough time for the Wraith to get over the fact that Rogue was killed. These guys breed. So, she wakes up, and her name is Taylor Mancuso, and she doesn't know where she is. They talk about parentage, blood allergies, medical conditions. Yuri's talking about how he wants to sit there and, well, actually, they talk about, things. So she goes back, gets knocked back out, because now they know that, anything's like, Wraith, I already told you can't kill her yet, because Wraith wants her dead. Yuri actually wants to torture her for information. And then it goes to Idola's walking along, senses someone's having sex nearby, and he thinks that, like, it's a female, and that Wraith Shade had better go and take care of it. But then he finds out that Wraith is inside her head, making her sexually aroused, to see if she would have sex with a demon, and obviously with Idola. He's like, knock it off, you'll tear her stitches. And then she wakes up, and she thinks it's a dream, and she and Taylor and him have sex. But she thinks it's a dream. She doesn't realize that it's not a dream at all. Which is really weird. And she can't figure out why he's talking the way he's talking. And he's like, you didn't come. I never do. It's impossible. But she says, Then she realizes that, Doc, stop please, what happened to me? And he says, demon. And then she remembers Janet. And she's like, oh crap, what the fuck? I just had sex with a demon? He's like, where am I? She's like, you're in hospital, you were injured. She's like, what kind of hospital is this? And he's like, don't sit down, I'll give you all the information. And then someone rushes to his doctor, we're needed in the ER. And it's a dude with a mouthful of tests. And she's like, oh my god, demon. You're demons. Ah. And he knocks her out because she gets dropped down. So she starts dreaming about what happened beforehand. Her and her teammate Janet were hunting down a Crucius and a, what would she call it? Something else. She didn't think it was a Crucius at first. A Crouchers. So, as they're fighting this, her leg locks up, her arm locks up, it becomes dead weight. And she was like, oh no, not again, not now. Wow, Janet's being torn apart, and a demon comes after her. When she wakes up, she's of course strapped down, and Nancy comes in and goes, good evening. I brought food, but you can eat that after Dr. Idola removes your restraints. So he comes in and he's like, I'm going to release your restraints. The hospital's under protective of anti-violence, so don't try to fight me. And then she tries to hit him, and it doesn't work. He's like, I tried to tell you. And she's like, you probably can't kill me. He says, I also don't want to be inside you again, so you can't read too much into my instincts. He's nearing the change. He's about 100 years old now, and he's nearing the change, and he's got to find a mate in order to settle down. She goes to reach for her ankle restraints and says, leave him. And then he's like, you're in the Underworld General Hospital, and she's like, ugh, your hospital's called UGG. And she talks about how'd you get, your degree to practice medicine. He's like, well, some of us lucky in, so we can go out and get medical degrees and all kinds of degrees and bring them back and we teach people. It's like what I did. I went out and learned, and I came back and I teach. So, Yuri wants to torture her, and he doesn't. He wants to use her. Wraith wants to kill her. So he wants to use her to find the Aegis and find out what they're doing, because he thinks they're the ones that are vanishing their people. He asks, well, tell me about your parents, but you can't tell me anything about the Aegis. he also took a ring which belonged to her mother, that was used to be for the ages. She's like, I never knew my dad. My mom died when I was 16. I never had seen a picture of him. And I don't even have a name. And they asked about how his mom died. She's like, she was killed by a demon. Nancy has left, and she goes to, she goes up to a guy to, drink the blood of a man that she saw. Wasn't going to kill him, but just drink his blood. So, she goes to drink from him after luring him in, and he puts a needle inside of her, which make her go noodles. He's like, filthy bloodsucker, do you know what people will pay for vampire parts? Bitch, it's time to reap what you've sworn. He was wearing Aegis, too, that she didn't see at first, so, there. Terror there. Yeah. So he's like, okay, well, you're being discharged. We need to go, like, now. So he tries to get her out of there without being spotted. And she's, like, annoyed. He's also being cautious. He's curious about how she didn't orgasm, and he's like, ooh, can you do it by yourself? And her face flushes, so he's like, oh, that'd be, yes, you can bring yourself off, but other people can't. And he's like, Shade finds him and is like, what are you doing? Rather, I told you or you wouldn't be here. Damn it, E. I should have been brought in with a decision from the hospital, too. I said we get rid of Yuri. Wrath doesn't want that. No, he wants her dead. He's like, enough about it, we'll talk about this later. He's like, it's my hospital and half final word. No one harms the Aegis but me. It's also the S-Genius that's messing him up and screwing up his judgment. So, she's like, so you guys can be anyone you want? She's no, just each other. Like, he literally had the Haven spells altered, so it didn't apply to him and his brothers, and they can only beat up each other, which is funny. He's like, come on, Slayer, I'm taking you home. But of course, he also hears that Nancy didn't show up for work today. She's not answering her phone. He explains about Justice Demon and Vengeance Demons. Vengeance Demons can summon anyone, human or demon, and take revenge on another. Justice Demons serve only other demons. He was a Justice Demon. As a Justice Dealer, I guess that's what they call themselves. Generally, species and breeds, breed councils. And unlike Vengeance Demons, Jujutsu must investigate the complaints before taking actions. And since these are meted out based on the crime, but if we find that the petitioner is in the wrong, that's the person who gets punished instead. He's like, I hated being one, but I was raised by them. And as soon as I became a doctor, I quit. He says, she's like, you said your brothers weren't raised together. How many brothers do you have? He's like, total dead and alive? She's like, both. I had 44. I'm down to 2. I'm the oldest. She goes, firstborn? He's like, no, 20 were born before I was, but only one survived. 2 S-Genesis Rogue was killed 2 years ago. Now, if I take back the artifact, will you shut up? So he takes back the artifact and makes her unable to move. Talk about the nurse being a vampire. She asks what his markings symbolize. He's like, unless you want me to pull over and take you where you say, you better remove your hand. And then he explains that the markings on him are more. It's a history of his paternity. And his symbol's here. And it just goes down and down. You know, through the generations. So they can track the generations of his family. And they're born with it, but their personal marking doesn't appear until later on. In the first stage of their sexuality. And then it goes to Dondry. She's out in the streets, handing out condoms to keep people safe. Cayenne Morgan comes along and they get talking. She has a thing for him. But he's really into his wife, Lori. And then he sits there and finds a guy who's, what you looking at, bitch? You know, somebody comes up, called the ambulance with a gun, and Kane takes it off from him, calls the police, and then she gets a phone call, and she knows who the voice is. She's like, I told you, no, I'll never help you. Your parents would like you to reconsider. They're begging, in fact. And she's like, you bastard, what did you do to them? Where are they? And she's like, I gotta go, guys. I have a family matter to tend to. And that's where I ended, on chapter 6, page 76. So it's really jumping into the mystery, like, flat out immediately. Even though I don't understand why, because it's like, I like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like that it's jumping in. But this is like a 19 book, maybe even more than that series. Unless things get solved quickly and the other ones pick up different shit going on. I don't really know. Okay, this thing has a banger in it, with a banger. It's kind of interesting since I last updated you about it. Okay, so they go to check on Nancy, the vampire who went missing and didn't show up for her shift, right? Well, they find her. Unfortunately, she's missing the majority of her insides. So he kind of just off her head, and she bursts in flames and everything, you know, and turns into ash. And then he deals with a croucher or something that wanted it, right? No, an obhiorat. I don't know what the fucking obhiorat is, but whatever. It is, yeah. And he's asking if the Aegis had anything to do with it, and she's like, I don't think. And she's like, no, I wouldn't. So yeah, he gets out of the Oberit. That they found her at the crossroads. So he went to the crossroads to check it out, right? And they actually meet some people who they fight. Some Nightlash demons, they fight them. And he heals her, and then, yeah. He goes to bring her home and says, I don't want people to know where you live. I don't want my brethren to know where you live, so that's why I need to bring you home. It was a bad idea. Luke and Shay talk about a few things. And they're also worried about Idola, you know, and that he needs a mate. And then they talk about how the Essenes, if it's completed without a mate, it doesn't leave very many people with normal, sane. One of them is Rogue, their brother, and another one was Otto. I don't know who the fuck Otto is, but here, look. Shade used to see Nancy, but yeah, he's not going to anymore. So he brings her home, and her and while they're bringing her home, they talk about what the vampire said about her circulatory system and everything, and that it's probably being sold on the black market for spells and rituals. And then they talk about the Lishra, which usually translates to lover, which is what she was to Shade. Apparently she has a ferret named Mickey. Yeah. He wants to leave, but he doesn't. He gets pulled in. She tries to kill him, and he gets pulled in, and then they kind of fuck. They have some extra time, and yeah, she doesn't have no big O's, and even though he tries, and he realizes that there's something very wrong with her, and talks about how he's a rare breed, how they have to sit there and impregnate other demons' females because most of them don't want to put up with his breed, and they always have males, and they're usually abandoned or eaten or anything like that. So yeah, they die. They have a high mortality rate, he's like, oh yeah, less than 10% survived adulthood. And so that's how most of them have died, Eaten within hours after birth, abandoned, slaughtered. Rogue was killed by AG, is what he tells her, because she asked about him. And then he talks about how they feel how their brother is being born, they're aware of them. His father was killed when he was 2. Shortly after Wraith was born, vampires, revenge for what he did to Wraith's mother. And then she freaking pipes him in the head and ties him down. Oh, Lord. Jem bursts into her parents' Upper West Side house, noticing that they're freaking gone. Goes over a phone call. So she's got a phone call from the ghouls wanting her to help them out. I'm not exactly sure, but apparently they've taken her family. And she has a picture of Taylor Mancuso and Slayer and her mom. And I don't know why Jem has that. Or what's so important about it. But yeah. So Taylor goes to the Aegis headquarters where she lives. And here's a surprising thing. Cayenne is in it. Lori and Cayenne. Not sure. I didn't think they were humans because they were talking to Jem. Maybe they think Jem's human because she looks human. And so they are human, but they're definitely Aegis. So yeah. They're making exploding MP3 players. So, they talk about how Janet's dead, how that happened. Lori has a nickname, June Cleaver, which is really freaking scary. Then she talks about how she was at a demon hospital, and they're like, surprised. Talking about how they need to destroy it, how they need it. So they want the government to get involved to destroy it, right? And how did they get out? She said, I convinced when the doctors let me go, said I was a screamer, that if they killed me, my spirit would call out to all the guardians, till they found it and destroyed it. Gives out his name, Eodonlin, and didn't tell the right kind of demon. So the Corporal Hellspawn looks human. So, yeah. When they talk, some guy named Jagger comes in. I guess he's part of it. He's going to help, find this, brainstorming to help, find this hospital and tracking spell and stuff. He's like, tracking spell? He's like, yep, we're going to put it on the demon. You contact the demon, we're going to tag him. She's like, sounds good. She thinks it's all good for him, all for the good of mankind. And she's like, but for the good of mankind didn't ring as true as it had just a few days before. So she's having, issues questioning things about the good for mankind because, she's learned a lot of things about demons. Demons go to medical school. Demons live normal lives. Some demons just help out everybody they can to heal because, that's just what they want to do. I mean, like, Eodolin has healing powers. So, he's taking care of people. He doesn't let people die. Now, if they leave his hospital and die right after that, there's nothing he can do about that. But when they're in his hospital, they live. So it's picking up. It's getting good. I think I'm gonna like this series. Hopefully. So far, I haven't figured out what any of it involves in, besides the fact that these ghouls are taking people's parts. Well, not people. Demons' parts. And Taylor is half demon somehow. Not exactly sure how that's going to go. But, shit, you were supposed to stay in. But yeah, it's getting good, and I'm enjoying it. I really am. So, okay, so I read a lot more. Or a lot more. They get to her house, Nancy's house, and they find her with a lot of her organs missing. So he listens to her talk, then he ashes her, and he accuses Taylor of the Aegis doing it. And she says, I don't think they're doing it. He's like, alright, well, let's take you home. So he actually, before they leave, this Obiura, who wanted the dead that she was going to eat, he was going to eat the dead. So he's like, I'm sorry, there's nothing here for you. She's like, this is an Aegis. So where do you see it? She's like, Crossroads is where he smelled her when she first died. Taylor wants to prove it wasn't them, but can't. So they go to the gate, and she says, ooh, there's a gate there. So it looks like they came from that gate thing. Those ones for what happened to Nancy were not demons, but they are involved. Aegis are involved. So she's like, well, demons have to be the ones doing it, right? The Oberat in the center get into a fight. Yay! So he takes them home, and then you see Shade is worried about Idola because he's been gone for a while. She has a weasel named Mickey. Or ferret. Yeah. So he drops her off and says, I gotta go, but then they end up having some smacks. And afterward, she knocks him the fuck out. Yeah. She knocks him out. And they had a conversation before they knocked him out about how Rogue was killed by the Aegis, how the females have no idea who they slept with because most Simians can shapeshift, though a lot of them are not alive by the end, and it's just really a lot of them are killed. She's like, ha, 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 I've only got 3 brothers out of 42 left. You know, that's kind of sucky. So Jem bursts into her parents' house and doesn't find them, and she thinks back to when she first heard about them, and now that they're all gone, and she goes in and she finds a thing, dozens of photos of Taylor Mancuso and the Slayer's now dead mom. So, yeah. So, why does she have pictures of her, of Taylor and her dead mom? That's explained later on. Taylor goes to the Aegis headquarters to talk to Laura and Kane about what happened to her. So they give her a tracking device that was made by Stephanie that will let them track the demon. So, shit. Don't come out. So she goes back to her apartment, sees that Mickey is having lots of fun, and then decides to, of course, put the tracker on his necklace, and they continue talking, but then her body stops working. She literally collapses to the ground, and she can't do nothing. And he's like, can you hear me? Blink if you can. Does this happen often? He's like, yeah. She's like, do you know what's wrong with me? Taylor, I need to know how long this has been happening. He's like, what do you think it is? He says, Alulas who have carry diseases. And she's like, he's like, you can't see a human doctor. She's like, why not? So he blurts out, you're a half demon, Taylor. She's like, what? It's like, my mother didn't think she slept with a demon, but she did. She says, get up before I change my mind about letting you go. So, Jem sits on his car in a protective thing, wondering why he's there at Taylor's. So they talk about how Taylor's mom was pregnant with Taylor. Her mother, Jem's mother, worked at the Eastside Clinic and sensed that it was a demon pregnancy. What truly was that Jem is her sister, and Jem is half demon, half human, but she's the one with the more demon half, and Taylor was born with the more human half, with her demon half not completely integrated. So, Jem was taken by her demon parents, her mom and her dad, who were censor demons, and Taylor was left unborn in her other mother in a warehouse. Of course, Taylor didn't understand, and she was like really pissed about the accusations he flung her way. Her mother was human. She's like, Taylor's mine. I'm going to interrogate about my parents. And he's like, leave her alone. She's mine. I will take care of it. Then it swings over to Luke and Ula, a female who he wants to mate with, and they want to have children, and they're like, we're going to sit there and bite the children if they turn out to be human, to make them into wargs, which are human, or werewolves. So, yeah. But while they're doing that, Luke's house gets broken into by a bunch of ages, and she's killed, and he escapes, and he makes it to the hospital. Cayenne says Janet's body is gone, and wonders about the person she's got half locked up. She's like, no, it's not a demon. So, Idola did a transfusion, hoping the fresh blood would cool him, so that way he wouldn't go through the change just yet. Yuri's there. He says you got together because I have better things to do than babysit you. And he's like, yeah, I'm good, thanks. So he's like, oh, Al, you should probably take some time off. And takes a stethoscope, which is where the tracker is on, actually. Yeah, that's what it was. And says, you should take care of things. And then Luke busts in and he's like, oh my god, we gotta get Luke. So they try to figure out what happened to Luke and everything. And she finds out that Trey and Michelle are dead. And she's told that they're tracking a pack of werewolves with Bleak and Cole and got ambushed inside a house. They took out the female but lost the others. So, she's like, Cayenne's like suspicious about Taylor and says, I'll give you until tomorrow, but then you're going to come there to take you to see Dennis, who works at a hospital, obviously. So, when she goes in to the hospital, Taylor gets tagged by Jagger. He says like, just like, we caught your demon dog, he's not in good shape, we need to hurry if you want a chance to watch him die. And she gets there in the basement, she recognizes that's not him. Laurie's like, you're too late, Jagger lost his temper. Well, she had gone to it. So, Taylor, you wanted to sit with me, are you? I mean, he was just a demon. So he's wearing this as a strange medical symbol. She's asked what it is. She denies Laurie, she doesn't know what it is. she's like, how did you catch him? And they explained how they caught him. They explained how he talked about all kinds of things. And then they give her a cell phone that when she opens it up, it'll have a countdown. And when the countdown gets down to 0, it'll explode. But if you don't and you dial 119, it'll send out a tracer spell within a 100-yard radius. So she thought it was like a suicide mission type deal thing, and they sat there and beat the snot out of her to make it convincing, and then they dropped her off somewhere, and then she called to get picked up. Don't let us talk to his mother about finding a mate so that the train doesn't come over him. Wrath had gone to Mongolian, and he came back. His one is about Nancy, how she's now dust. So when she goes in there, she gets wrapped up, and then she meets a demon who actually yells at her. This poor itty bitty little demon about how Anagius had killed babies. And you killed my hatchlings, not them, my nest before this, all of them in pieces smashed as they came after their shells. You slaughtered my babies. She was, same as you. She's like, whoa, calm down. These guys are only come out on a hummer and he eats. She's like, an agent murdered her young because that's who she comes out at Halloween and eats vegetables. She was saying that they were going to eat, like, I don't know, people, I guess. He's like, vegetables. Her particular breed, they're vegetarians. They mainly raid farmers during the fall because they light the gourds. And she says last about the little one he was nursing. How did the little one get hurt? She's like, stepped on an adult by adult. If it weren't for the hospital, she would have died. Fractured bones are a death sentence for that species. So she learns that there's actually good demons and bad demons. Some of them just want to live their fucking lives. And other times, they don't, like everything. So, her phone gets stolen. And she tries to get it back. And when she does get it back, she sees the numbers are counting down. And she's like, oh God, I gotta get out of there. So she races to the exit and throws the phone. And it explodes. And lots of shit happens. So a couple of their staff members get taken. A couple of their staff members get injured. And they, of course, try to figure out why she did what she did. And she's like, I was sacrificed for the greater good. Do you want us to do that? She's like, I'll have to, because I know it's nothing to them. So they explain to her that if they don't integrate her demon DNA with her human DNA, she is going to die. But if they do it, she could live, but lose herself, or she could live and be herself. And Wraith is like, welcome Slayer, welcome to hell. So, yeah, when they bring her back, oh my God, to her apartment to get some things, Bleak and Cole are there, just chilling and chowing down. And then they're like, oh, we gotta kill her because now she's there, and they had orders to do so. Cole is killed, Bleak is not. And Jagger told us that it came from Kayan, that we have to kill you, that we have to do this whole explosion thing. He brings her to his home, and they talk about the demon DNA within her and how some species are a cross between animals and humans, shapeshifters. They talk about his book, the Demonica, Demon Bible, about how demons say when Satan was banished from heaven, he was allowed to create his own races, but because humans are born good and can turn evil, God insisted that demons are born evil and can turn good. So a tit for tat type deal thing. And they're talking about this justification of how some demons believe that God is the ultimate God and that there are two gods. And he's the Lord of Darkness, and some of them don't believe he exists, like some of them don't believe God exists, And they talk about the differences between demons and humans. And all of this lovely stuff about Rapture, Armageddon, how there is actually no hell, and hell will be on earth once all the humans are raptured up to heaven. She first entices him, and then rejects him, and he tries to get away from her, and then she accepts him. And they have sex, and then they actually talk about how she can't get off. So apparently, a demon, a soul shredder demon, had been tormenting her and her mom. The easiest way is that he was tormenting her mom, and what she witnessed was that he was effing with her and having physical relations with the woman while tormenting her, and then killed her in front of Taylor, and that's haunted Taylor ever since, because her mother had gotten off, and the soul shredder had made her get off, and it made Taylor not want to get off with any man, because it just what it was. And so through that breakthrough, poosh, she orgasms and enjoys that. And then he's like, okay, well, make yourself at home, I've been summoned for punishment. And he's like, for killing a human. And so he gets to the vampire castle, and apparently, since they're not punishing Wrath, because he doesn't fall under Simian law or vampire law, they punish Idola for it. And when he gets back, she calls Shade to come and fix him up, and then she learns about that from him. Yeah. But he's like, yeah, they'll be fine. He'll heal eventually. Jem thinks something happened to Taylor because she spent the night in her closet. And they go and they meet her, and they show that no, it didn't happen. She's fine. She says the bastards called again. They won't wait long. They need me. The person they're using can't do the procedures. Apparently, whoever it was injured in the explosion. And that's when they figure out that it was Paige, the human nurse. He's like, yeah, Nancy said something to me before she died. Ages, but she could have been Paige, or Paige is something. Paige was present when a patient of mine went into a death panic. He must have recognized her. This doesn't mean that Aegis isn't involved. They wouldn't blow up the person they need to perform the surgeries, right? I want my parents back. We need to talk to Paige. She's in a coma. So, well, as soon as she wakes up, we'll find out all the information we need to. She's like, I have nothing to my name. He's like, you have your mom's ring. He starts initiating the bond with her. She confesses that the night the rogue died, she was at the place that he died at, and that she could have been the one that wasted him, and it actually upsets him. But a lot of shit happens in between that too. So when he bonds with her, he's like, she calls Shade again. It's like, I don't know what's wrong with him. He went crazy, got this big tattoo fist, and his eyes were red. And that's when he had changed into a soul shredder. And that's when they find out that he's very, very close to the end. And Idola says, the demon that killed your mother was your father, and that was a soul shredder. Because that's the only reason why he would have turned into a soul shredder, was because he turns into the male species of her family, which is the soul shredder. And she does not like that, so she fucking runs. Jem rescues her, and Jem talks to her and tells her about how we have the same father, we have the same mother, we're fraternal twins. I was delivered first by demons around the rare force while our mother was in a drug stupor. The demons took me because they sensed demon in me, but they didn't sense it in number one baby you. And she's like, how do you know? Well, my parents told me years ago, and it was my decision whether I wanted to know you. I wanted to tell you, but then I saw you with the Aegis, and I didn't want you to tell you that I was half human, half demon. You know, you are half demon. There's no choice about that. And then she's like, well, yeah, I talked to our father. But she shows off that she has tattoos around her wrists and neck and ankles, which contains the soul shredder side of her. And she can control it, but sometimes when it pops out, she can't. But she tries to keep it under wraps. And they find out that the abandoned zoo is where everything is happening. And that's where they need to go. And that's when Jem also learns that Cayenne is a slayer. Taylor and Jem say, I can't trust you. And he's like, She's like, where does it leave us? She's like, it leaves you in a so-called family, girls. Get over it. That's what Wrath says. You can see me, but I can't see you. Yeah, you can still see me. So, hi. If you see a cat ear or a cat face or a cat head, yeah, that's my cat. Apology. Just get your ear out of their face. I don't want to see that. So she learns that she's not a last resort for Edolan, that he loves her. Edolan's sulking, right? He sulked for a while. The boys talk about some stuff. Wraith had tried to make Taylor want him, but no, it was her. She wanted him. They find out about him beginning the bonding process, and he runs away because of it. Because she rejects him, because she doesn't want... Jem was there when she woke up, and Jem and him have a talk. She's like, I killed our... yeah, about that. I killed him. She's like, what, who? Jem's like, our sire. When I was 16, he came to me, we fought. I stabbed him. It wasn't pretty. So she's like, I kind of wanted to hurt you because I was jealous that you had a mom, and I didn't. And I wanted that. So they make up, and they start being friends, and she shows off her soul shredder side for Taylor, and says, yeah, you can do this. Then she confesses that she might not get to be with him because she told him that he was there. She may have killed his brother. And she's like, yeah, he loves you. And so Cain arrived at the hospital to talk to Dennis, and that's where Jem and Taylor went to go talk to him. She interrogated him about what he knew about who killed Cole, about what happened to her, about Jagger, Bleak, and Cole, and Lori, as well as a few other things about someone is capturing the demons and harvesting them. And he's like, they just, people think it's Aegis. The demons do. It's like, well, ourselves not involved. And she's like, we're not, you might not be, but what about the others? She's like, I'm also a demon. It's like, I didn't know until a few days ago, but Jagger, the demon doctor he tortured, told him. I thought that was why the Aegis wanted me dead. So she's like, yeah, but why were they involved in it? And that's when he saw Jem and Tay together and figured out that Jem and Tay are sisters and that Jem is a demon. And so he walks away, and she's like devastated because Jem is like in decay, like really in decay. So, Edolan's sulking. Shade gets there and talks to him and says, like, yeah, our brother's dead, but he was also a monster because when he changed, he went around, essaying and killing, and it was only a matter of time before a demon killed him, but they just got to him. It's like, I'm sorry about Rogue, but I was never able to grieve his loss because he was never there when they tracked down their brother Wraith or helped their brother Wraith or anything. So he's like, oh my god, I need to talk to Kaylin. He's like, has she agreed with Onshu? She doesn't want to. She's a fool. I can't blame her. They have this little tit-tat back. So it's like, well, the change is coming, and I want you to make sure Taylor is taken care of. Okay, so Tay calls Kayan 5 hours later and says, hey, look, we think the captured demons are being held at the old zoo. If my new guardians are involved, that's where they're going tonight. So he was like, one way or another, he was going to figure all this shit out. So Tay, Edolan, Shade, and Wraith were on the other side to go find Jem's parents and get them free. Jem was going to walk in. So they went in searching, and Jem went in. Lori was there. Jagger was there. They tied her up, and yeah. Lori was talking about how she wished she would kill him, and that how someday Jagger wanted to make love to her in the blood of Arkil, because apparently they were having sex. So like Cain went and heard that, and it's like, what the fuck, and finds out that she was cheating on him. And then sisters. Yay, they found out they were sisters. So a little fight ensued. I'm pretty sure Jagger and Lori were injured, but Lori escaped. And, of course, Idola went into his little rage. Yeah. When she found him with Lori, with Bleak, she's like, don't kill him, put him down. I want you. So they complete the bond. And then they go to try to track down Lori. She thinks that Idola is part of an elder, because he looks like Wraith. It's like, how do you know Wraith? Are you an elder too? So he's like, he charged me with organizing a team to bring in demons. Our orders came directly from the Seagull. It was to be kept secret. And then it's like, you'll be executed for all you know. She infiltrated the Aegis too. She tells that to Idola, saying that that's what Taylor did. He's like, what made you believe Wraith is a guardian elder? He's like, he said he was. When Wraith showed up, he's like, what are you babbling about, human? I don't know you. And it's like, well, she's like, touch me like before. And he's like, just hold her. We will need to know what she needs to know. And they pull her away. He pulls her away, saying that Wraith doesn't like being with humans because humans don't stand up to the same thing as... They can't stand up to it. They die. So, Cayenne says, is there nothing left of your humanity? So, he takes off after her because she left, trying to find her. So, they have to sit there and talk to Wraith about it because they need to know whether Wraith is a part of it or not. But he denies being a part of it completely. Jem's parents were found safely. Cayenne was nowhere to be seen. Wraith has disappeared. They don't know where he went. Wraith disappeared for 2 months and came back acting like nothing had happened. Like nothing was wrong. Then she's like, well, how long will I have a lifespan when I integrate? Because Halo wants to know that. He's like, well, sorcerers live for somewhere around 2,000 years, but being half-breed, you'll probably live a fraction of that, a few hundred. She's like, good. I have a lot of family to make up for. So, yeah, they do the integration. Lori goes to a 2-bedroom house they rented nearly a year ago. And she went in there and she found him. He's like, hey babe, I'm really freaking sorry. She knows. She's like, I know, but I'll go to Cayenne and explain. And a knife hilt jutted from her belly. He killed her, stabbed her. He's like I said, I'm sorry, but you can't go. She's like, son of a bitch. He's like, yeah, my mom was a bitch, a whore. And then he talks about how, don't worry, I'll keep the operation going. Obviously, we'll have to move it here. Unless I can take out Kay, because I have to take over the cell. So, she musters all her strength. Pulls a knife out of her gut. And buried it in Jagger's. And then he was falling across the room, because Cayenne was there. Lori, she was like, hold on. And she's like, I did it for the cell. The money. He's like, you were only with demons. Demons were giving them her. She's like, no. Yep. So, he opens up Jagger's cell phone from his pocket. And opens it up. And drops it right next to Lori. And storms out of the house. And it's counting down. So, it's going to explode. So, 3 months later, Taylor is now working with the Aegis, not hunting, but teaching them who are the good demons and who are the bad demons. Cayenne's allowing it because he wants to get down to the bottom of it with the Aegis, who's in it and who's not. Also for the demons, Wrath disappeared for 2 months and then came back acting like nothing happened. And Taylor and Edelin are having a very good life. And that's the end of this book. Oh, you can't see that. Cat in the way. That's the end of this book. I can't see you. I don't even know if you can see me. But my favorite character in this, I'd have to say, was Yundola, because he's, even though he's a demon, and a sexual demon at that, he is really into protecting people and healing people, even if they don't freaking deserve it. My most disliked character is Wraith, because even though he doesn't know he's harming his brother, he is harming his brother, and he might actually be part of the freaking cell that's mutilating demons. So that is memorable. But there was interconnections through all of the people within it. Like Lori and Jagger were lovers. Lori and Cain were married. But Lori and Jagger were working to butcher demons. And it was because she had sex with Wraith in his tattoos. So he had tattoos on him. So it was most likely was Wraith pretending to be an elder. Why he's running an underground thing, I don't know. But, you know, Taylor worked with Lori, Jagger, and Cain and didn't know it. Jem worked and healed Cain and them. Didn't know it. Edwin knew Jem. Jem and Taylor were sisters. I don't think I have a favorite passage from this. Yeah, I don't really have a favorite passage. Yeah, I don't have a favorite passage. But I do know I have a favorite quote. Can I just say I have like 2 favorite quotes? Because that'd be nice. Because I like the Welcome Slayer, Welcome to Hell. And there was one more that I liked. No, that's not it. Maybe that one's it. But I don't think it is. Oh yeah, so this one, it leaves you in what's called a family, girls. Get over it. What is that about the end of the book? It still sets up for the next book in the series, and I can't wait for it. It also has its own little plot within it, and there's an overarching plot now that's going on. So I'm hoping that this is like the Midnight Braid series and the Nightwalker and the Shadow Dwellers, where there's a plot within each book and an overarching plot that envelops the whole series and keeps it put together. What book did it remind me of? The Nightwalkers, the Shadow Dwellers, the Midnight series books, all of them that I have read so far. That's what it reminds me of. This book is part of, as you know, is part of a series called Demonica, and there's actually 19 books in the series so far. I do not know how many more after that. Could be more. I think I'm going to rate this a 3.75 because I don't like how the whole sexual aspect can be used in a very negative way. So yeah, that's what I'm going to rate that one as, which is pretty good in my opinion. So I will be continuing this series. So far so good. That just means I'm into another at least 19 book series. Ow, 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 I was just petting you to calm you because I didn't really get to sit on your thing. If you guys think I deserve a like, comment, or even your lovely subscription, why don't you go ahead and drop it down below. I will see you next illusion. Ow!